the amazing, suspenseful Doctor Who Boom episode by Stephen Moffat, it almost feels like Russell T Davies was trying to one-up him or something with 73 yards. I will admit the concept was very interesting, and when it started, for most of the episode, it had this eerie, creepypasta supernatural horror vibe, which I'm sure is what he was going for. This episode is mostly from Doctor Who's companion's POV, so we get to follow along with Ruby for 90% of the episode, which I don't have a problem with because I really do like this companion. So I'm gonna run through the recap really quick because I also want to talk about why I walked away feeling utterly pissed off after having enjoyed the majority of this episode. Now, this is just my honest opinion, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I'm not trying to take away anything from those that did, but this is how I personally feel about it, so I don't think I should have to tell grown adults not to feel personally attacked because I walked away and found myself not liking the ending to the episode of a show. The Doctor struts out in his eye-assaulting outfit, which totally clashes with the picturesque setting. He talks about Roger Ap Gwilliam being the most dangerous prime minister in Welsh history, but it happens many years later, so he kind of admits that he gave Ruby a spoiler there, because apparently they're still in 2024, which is eerily convenient, and apparently this supposed guy that the Doctor mentions led the world to the brink of a nuclear war. But they're interrupted when the Doctor accidentally steps on a webbed circle of cotton in the grass that apparently nobody is supposed to step on, but they put it in the middle of where people would easily step on it. It turns out that this was not meant to be broken, but my question is, birds and animals and people do come here. What did they think was going to happen? If they want to bind something inside of it, which we discover later, this is the worst possible place they could have put it, not to mention high winds and rain and other things that can break the circle, but whatever. So obviously someone made this, and Ruby says it looks like something made by children, and their little messages, and she reads out a message saying, "I miss you," and "Rest in peace, Mad Jack." And shortly after that, Ruby discovers that she's completely alone as the Doctor vanishes, leaving his locked TARDIS behind.
Hey, it's locked! You've locked it from the inside!
There's this creepy tone that reminds me of the movie It Follows.
Wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
Lazarus, come from the dead. Come back to tell you all. I shall tell you all. If one was settling a pillow by her.
Whew. Still one of my favorite horror movies to this day. Good Lord. I cannot watch the tall man part. Every time I'm like, let me just watch it, I can't. I have to close my eyes. And that's a lot for me. Like, you know when you're so terrified of something or it causes your spine to feel like it's turning to ice shards to the point where tears form in your eyes because of the debilitating fear you feel rising up within you, like that primal fear? That's what this movie does to me. The majority of it anyway. Oh my God. Seriously, if you guys haven't watched that movie, you should definitely watch it. But don't watch it by yourself. Or watch it by yourself in the dark. I dare you. I dare you. I double dick dare you. Anyway, speaking of It Follows, throughout the entire episode with this entity always following her, we notice that no matter how close she tries to get to it, it's always standing exactly 73 yards away from her no matter where she is. It doesn't seem to be able to go inside buildings, or if it is in the buildings close by, it would be in another room. So we have poor Ruby, who was stalked by this dreadful, mysterious entity that creates a problem that honestly is never really solved by the end because real Ruby doesn't know what it is. Now, the tavern people have a laugh, even though they can't see the woman. It's a very lonely thing when you can see something and other people can see it, but then when they try to help you get rid of it, they abandon you and are scared off as well. And you would think that these people that are running away would eventually tell other people what they've seen, but I guess that's hoping for too much. Anyway, knowing this thing is potentially dangerous, which it really isn't, I was expecting people to just vanish when they talk to it, but no, they just run away, which is way less scary, but still an intriguing concept.
Don't mind if I do.
It's racist, my dear, to be blunt. People come from outside, they think we're all witches and druids. For God's sake, child, you walked into a piece of string.
So thank goodness goodness, Ruby is still in her time. How coincidental is that? But seeing that no matter where she goes, even by train, this thing is always exactly 73 yards. Scary. So, of course, she exposes it to her mom, having seen what happens. Now her mom is trying to help. We can't really blame her because she's being maternal and protective. And Ruby's like a child again, thinking if anyone can handle this, it's her mom. Her mom says, look, I'll be on the phone and you can be on the phone, our very gigantic kaiju-sized phones. And when I'm there next to the woman, you can hear what she's saying. Then, of course, Ruby's mom cuts her off and gives her the same treatment as everyone else.
No, Mom! Mom, don't listen to her! Please don't do this to me, Mom! Mom, don't do this to me, Mom! Mom!
I mean, this woman has this innate hatred now for her daughter. And no matter what Ruby does, all because of the entity. She even changes the locks and everything. Ruby doesn't seem to try very hard to talk to her mom because you'd think that she would go to see her mom on the street or try speaking to her or leaving a message or something. But let's assume she did all of this. Well, nothing works, but I mean, her grandmother still lives there, so why would she not let her back in the house anyway? Like, the mother wouldn't, but the grandmother would.
I won't ask you again, Ruby. Please stop calling or go away.
I'm your daughter.
Well, except you're not. Are you? Even your real mother didn't want you.
Damn, that's cold.
It was savage as hell. Even I felt that. It even got to the point where the Unified Intelligence Task Force comes to Ruby's aid, and they set it up like it's actually gonna work. Very predictable that it wouldn't, though. And of course, even they cannot help her. SCP Foundation much. Maybe it's just me, but you would think with these few people that approach this entity, whatever SCP Foundation organism it might be, that others would be made aware of this and constantly try to at least confine Ruby to study it. Nope. And then when we get time jump after time jump, and Ruby has seen Mad Jack appear on talk shows and interviews, and the way that this episode is written makes us believe as though Mad Jack is this eerie, uncontrollable, and dangerous entity. No, he wasn't. Yeah, we don't know how he got all that power, but whatever. She spends her time getting close to him and working for him, and they build him up to be this scary thing, this very powerful entity, only for him to just run away near the end after Ruby saves the world when she's like 60 or something. Oh my shrimp-covered testicle. The ending just fell apart like somebody who came up with a good concept but didn't know how to finish it. And they just decide, you know what, let's just bring in a 7-year-old to finish the story. There is no explanation as to why, also in the end, when Ruby is dying, the old version of herself shows up and doesn't face her anymore, because that's what this entity was this whole time, her. And why has it been appearing to her younger self for decades upon decades, while her younger self was running away from her older self? But it's okay because Ruby saves the world from nuclear warfare. Now, I know people are going to draw some poetic interpretation of this, and that's fine. Feel free to do so. I'm sure that if you sift through shit long enough, you can find enough nutrition to get you by for a few hours. I know, I'm being cheeky, but seriously, that's how I feel about this. The episode had the potential to be genuinely terrifying, and it had its moments, but then it just ended up falling completely flat. It's like having your partner tease you for a few hours with a feather, and then right at the last moment, when they're ready to deliver you into the pond of happiness, there's this rude knock on your door, and it's your mom or some shit saying they need your help with something. Or it's someone cruelly leading you on, like those poor guys that are friend-zoned. I think the woman is really into them, and then the woman invites that poor guy to hang out with them, only for the guy to get there and see the girl sitting there with her boyfriend all happy, acting like she doesn't know what she just did so she can introduce them both. Seriously, every time I think about this episode, I get mad. The episode is called 73 Yards. That's how far this entity was from Ruby all the time. Why though? Why 73 yards? Why not 50 or 100? The specific number is mentioned repeatedly, illustrated also, but never given any significance, nor is it ever explained. Why was the old lady or old version of herself doing that stupid hand motion? Like, imagine this, where it was revealed near the end of the episode that this woman was apparently instructing Ruby not to step on the cotton circle.
That smell. That green. That coastline, Ruby.
The most dangerous prime minister in history.
Is she? There was a woman.
Weird. Well, she's not there anymore. All right, Ruby. All right.
Oh, no, don't step.
All of that, it's revealed of the old woman of saying, don't step. Don't step. Wow. How profound. And when you look at this woman, I'm sorry, her saying, don't step on the circle or whatever it was she's saying that she never even really fully says, doesn't fit with her hand motions. Look at her hand motions. She's saying something, putting something on her chest, shrugging, and then doing some weird ass sign. What the fuck? Does this look like someone who is telling you not to step on something? Put hand on the chest, shrug, then do something and then wipe your freaking palm. None of those hand motions would ever make someone think that she's telling them urgently not to step on something in front of them. It's so stupid. She's urgently whispering to her not to step on the circle. Oh my god, it's so fucking dumb. Also, why did the doctor disappear? Did the actor have diarrhea the day of the shooting for this episode? Also, if they were trying to bind the evil prime minister as though he's some kind of antichrist entity, why was he affected by the old version of Ruby? Also, at the beginning of the episode, why did these people not put a damn sign near the cotton circle for people not to break it? Why put the cotton circle in an area where it can be easily disturbed by the weather elements, animals, and humans? Seriously, what is even the point of this episode? And did it actually even happen? Or is Ruby going freaking nuts? Who made the circle in the first place? And if the Welsh people knew something about the story, even though later they were just having a laugh, why wouldn't anyone take it seriously? Maybe they did it on purpose, but why didn't Ruby or anyone think to put the circle back the way it was? Maybe this was all in Ruby's head and her way of dealing with the fear of abandonment or getting old or whatever, but I felt like it was some weird cop-out for Russell T Davies, not knowing how the hell to neatly craft a story and have it be coherent near the end. It felt like it was just done for artistic portrayal's sake without any real substance. The ending was so stupid, and it was kind of predictable because halfway through, I'm thinking the old woman is her as time begins to jump. Also, it makes no sense because Ruby, I mean, it's not explained, but how does she know where the old woman's gonna pop up? There's times when she's walking and the old woman is on her right or her left or behind her or in front of her. It really doesn't matter. And she's able to put it exactly where she needs it to be beside this guy. Oh my god. Also, when the doctor does come back, where everything resets sort of, and Ruby explains that she was seeing a woman with everything he's gone through and the things that he's seen, why would he just write her off as being crazy? How very undoctor-like. And I like how the characters, the story, and lore of this just can constantly contradict themselves. This felt like it had the potential to be a real supernatural horror element, only for the writer to take the easy way out and say, oh, it was all just a dream or in her head or something else that makes absolutely no goddamn sense. And let's say that we're going with a nonsensical route. This still doesn't answer where the doctor went. If this is more than just Ruby's imagination and her fears of abandonment being realized, there's no explanation as to the doctor's whereabouts. Nor is there an explanation as to why his TARDIS is locked despite her having a key. Regardless of what the actual reason is behind everything, whether it be a figment of her imagination or not, I feel like it was extremely poorly executed. I mean, it really started out as something genuinely interesting and eerie, and I was eager to see where it was gonna go, only for her to save the world in the end because she brought the old lady version of herself close to the prime minister, who was supposedly the most dangerous person, and sent him running for the hills, which doesn't make any sense because even though there's a perception filter, people can still see the old woman. They would have noticed her getting closer to him or being closer to him, and nobody chose to do anything. Why is his security detail so far away from him? Also, he runs out but has no bodyguards. His security detail are not paying attention to him. Everyone's looking at this woman, and why are they so freaking far away? I'm assuming they're his security detail. Wow, that's so stupid. This person is supposedly very important. When he's took off bolting, he's left all by himself. Anyway, we don't also get any explanation as to why these people run. And honestly, why would this stop the prime minister from bringing on a nuclear crisis? It's never logically connected. From what we've seen of the entity, it sends people running away from Ruby specifically. So why the fuck would this cause the prime minister to all of a sudden decide to not run anymore or to just forego all his plans? I mean, Ruby's mom doesn't do that. Ruby's mom didn't get up and sell her house and leave. She went about her life, and the only thing that changed was that she didn't want having to do with Ruby specifically. So why in the rat ass would the prime minister, after running off, not get Ruby fired and pull out the same type of restraining order that her mom did? When interviewed, Mad Jack tells people to ask her when they're asking him why he's doing this, why he's resigning. And had something extreme like this actually happened, people would have connected it to Ruby and would have asked her those very questions. Ew. Also, if the woman merely showing up beside someone who didn't engage in it causes them to run in fear from Ruby, then it means that anywhere Ruby went, if someone just merely happened to be beside the thing, the same thing would happen to them. But that's never consistent, as we've seen that Ruby is always in public places and people just walk by the woman like it's nothing. See, in this scene right here, you can see very clearly, look at all the people. Look at all the people to the right. This is a busy intersection. You can see the people in suits on the right that are walking by, and they would have to walk by this woman. And yet, nope, doesn't happen to them. You can argue that maybe they have to be standing in the same spot almost, but this has happened for decades of her life, and yet it's not a big deal, or it doesn't make the news or garner enough attention for people to recognize something is wrong when enough people are saying the same thing about this woman who causes them to have this intense fear or hatred. And everyone's like, ask her, ask her. What are they supposed to ask her? We never know. What in the pigeon backshot is actually wrong with the people that wrote this episode? Why does everyone have this debilitating fear or anger whenever old lady Ruby says anything to them? And what exactly is she saying? Now, again, as I've said, it's revealed in the end that she's saying, don't step on the circle, or just don't step. We don't even get the full thing. That causes people to have debilitating fear or hatred of young or present day Ruby or run away from her. And then why are some people just caught in complete fear and others in complete anger? Or it doesn't make any fucking sense. If this is a mind thing with Ruby, then the interpretation is most likely that she's chasing people away. But by what? Telling them not to step on the fucking circle? Because that's what the old woman is saying in the entire episode, where kept in suspense of what this woman is saying to create these debilitating fear in people or hatred. But the whole time she's saying don't step on the circle. The whole thing is so freaking stupid. What a dumbass episode. Like I said, I'm not saying that Russell T Davies can't write, because I'm sure he's done a lot of good stuff. We've seen that, maybe not recently though, but this episode felt like a follow-up to try and one-up Stephen Moffat for his Boom episode, and it came away feeling like a dollar store unfinished version of it. You know those people that grew up performing a completely different genre of music than country? And then one day they're like, you know what? Let me try to do country, even though I do like heavy metal, death metal, and then they attempt to do it and then they just massacre the genre. That's what this feels like. It felt pretentious, and it felt like one of those let me try to kind of situations. I could be wrong, because for all I know, Russell T Davies could have written this episode way before Stephen Moffat wrote his, and for all you know, the concept could just have been somebody else's, including Stephen Moffat's, but the execution was piss poor. I would like to believe that Ruby spaced out and imagined all of this, which would honestly make this whole episode a complete waste of time. I think there are better ways and more cohesive ways of telling a story featuring Ruby and her insecurities about being abandoned. It felt like someone had an idea but didn't finish constructing it, but they wanted to put it out anyway to get attention. Yes, I'm being a bit harsh, but I am being honest. Also, way to make the supposed villain who is the prime minister anticlimactic and not scary at all, despite the doctor foreshadowing how dangerous he was. 73 Yards had potential, but ended up being a confusing, poorly thought out episode that left more questions than answers, and not the good kind either. It didn't keep me thinking, it just made me want to forget the whole thing and wish that I could wash out my brain. This episode was stupid as shit.
Please don't do this to me, Mom! Mom, don't do this